The Weeks U18 Majors are members of the Nova Scotia U18 Major Hockey League. Since becoming a franchise in 1985, the Weeks U18 Majors have won 5 league titles and 2 Atlantic Championships. Some well-known alumni of the Weeks have gone on to play professional hockey, including Colin White, John Sim, Derek Walzer, Joey McDonald, and David Bryan. Head coach Kyle MacLennan is a former player and captain with the Weeks, and being coach of this team means a lot to him.
My 6th year now. When I first started it was certainly surreal. Kind of, those are 2 years I spent here as a player, 1 year as a captain. And it was, 2 years of my life that, looking up when I was a younger kid, it was always go to the Weeks game. It was always, the Saturday night and Sunday afternoon games. It was something as a child I used to look forward to all the time. And then it was, just getting to play was that next step. And then, ultimately getting to come back and give back and be, on the coaching side of things. It was, it's come full circle, but it's a position and something I'm truly grateful for. I'm very privileged to have this opportunity, and something we certainly don't take lightly.
Each year, a team's identity can change. And this season, Coach MacLennan knows exactly what's most important to the Weeks.
I think this year especially, we're a team that, it's all about our depth, and it's all about, playing as one. I think this year, just with it's a big turnaround from last year. We ended up losing a lot of players, thankfully to junior, which is what our program is meant to do. But with so many new faces in, it's about relying on one another, and it's relying on our D, relying on our goalies, our forwards relying on our D, and our goalies relying on our forwards. Everybody just pitching in and doing their part, and we'll be successful as a group, and we'll learn lessons as a group, and ultimately it's going to be the strength of our group that pushes us forward.
And while the strength of this group is important, there's some other things about this year's edition of the Weeks U18 Majors that the coaches would like you to know.
First and foremost, it's like we want to do the right thing. It's about integrity. It's about integrity not just at the rink but away from the rink as well. It's one thing we always talk about. It's we're here to develop hockey players, and they're here to be better. Become better players. But for us, it's a bigger picture. And if all we get out of each season is just being better hockey players, we're missing a real good opportunity to become better people, which is ultimately what we're looking for.
And with only a few returning players from last year's squad, it's a young core that's being looked to take a leadership role.
This year we only have 6 returning players, and again, they were all younger players last year, so thrust into that leadership almost by default, and being relied upon as the older, that older group that's going to have to drive us, not just on the ice but off the ice as well. And they've done a fantastic job. They're all very humble individuals. Their identity is built on work ethic and being good people off the ice. And I think that's early on this season, especially, it's translated onto the ice and within the rest of our group. It's their personalities and their identities are what's helping shape the rest of our team.
There's no shortage of rivalries in the Nova Scotia U18 Major Hockey League, but for the Weeks, sometimes it's recent history that can create your biggest rival.
I think probably last year playing Steel in the playoffs. I mean, there's been certainly a long history back when they were the Dartmouth Subways. Many opportunities against them in playoffs and throughout the regular season. And then the past number of years, I think we met in the playoffs. Had to have been about 5 times within an 8-year span. And unfortunately, they came out on top of all 4 of those times until last year. I think both teams were phenomenal. It was one of the best series I've ever been a part of, and I think they can probably attest to it as well. It went 7 games right down to the wire, right, tied goal separated just going into the 3rd period. It was, I think that one, just because there's so much history between the 2 teams, but it certainly was it was a draining series, a phenomenal series, and hats off to them too with a great job.
Whether regular season or playoffs, goaltenders are a team's last line of defense, and Coach MacLennan feels good about his goaltending duo.
We have Lane George, who came over from Cole Harbour from last year. And we have Oliver Arnfast, who was a 3rd-year goaltender for us. And the benefit of having 2 guys that have played in the league, there's more of a calming presence. They've been through it. For any 15-year-olds, there's an adjustment period. There's a little bit of nerves. It's the bigger stage, and there's no different for goaltending. And I find when you have a goaltender that's been through it before, they've been through the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations. They've, it helps with their confidence, but it also, emulates throughout the whole group.
And something else that's important to this group, as it is with all teams, well, it's being part of one of the best developmental hockey leagues in the country. Something that's not lost on Coach MacLennan and his coaching staff.
First and foremost, it's just a priority on development first. I mean, there's a lot of, all of us in the league here, it's, we all want to win hockey games, and we want to win every single game that we step into, but there's a bigger picture that we want to develop individuals and hockey players, and that we can't overlook that. I think, sometimes we want to get caught up sometimes chasing wins, but, our teams do a great job of really avoiding that and looking for the bigger picture, which is development of the individual and development of the player. At this hockey, Nova Scotia in general have done a phenomenal job over the past number of years of just developing more and more elite players, and I think our league is no different. We've had a lot of elite players come through here, a lot of elite players moving on to the next level, and I think that's only going to continue to trend that way.